to another farming simulator video and a follow-up on my fast bale comparison to a normal baler wrapper. I had a whole load of comments, so based on those I've done some more testing. So I've looked at smaller windrows for the fast bale because there was a suggestion that the 10 meters windrow or swath off of the big M was too much for the fast bale, so we should use a smaller swath so it can go faster. So I've tested that. Equally, the Potinger with its 150 centimeter bales easily coped with the 10 meter swath, so I've looked at a bigger swath for that. I actually ended up doing a 12.4 meter, 12.5 meter, I think it is, not the nearly 15 of the one that you can see in front of us. So I'm on a baler and I have a grass field in front of me that I have prepped. I've put a huge mud board around it so that we always mow the same amount of grass. I'm not going to accidentally catch any headlands, things like that. I've done it with a field this time so that we can see the effect of actually using it in real life. Well, in virtual real life. I did all of the testing of swaths off camera. It was kind of mixed, actually. I could use a very narrow swath and the fast bale would run at 11 miles an hour, much more than about 4 meters, and it was kind of variable, and I felt like 4 meters was a very narrow swath. So what I've ended up doing is I've gone for a 6 meter swath for the fast bale, and you'll see in the video later on that lets it run at between 9 and 11 miles an hour. So it's quite often running at its full speed, but sometimes a bit slower. So really trying to give it a chance to stretch its legs and operate as it should. So here are the two swaths that I made. So on the right hand side we've got the Vicon swath that I think it was 12.5 meters, and then we've got a 6 meter swath up on the left, and really just trying to give both balers the best opportunity to be as fast as they can. Another comment that I had, which I thought was a little bit unusual, was a lot of people saw the fast bale as an early game piece of kit. I kind of get it, maybe because it does need a very high horsepower tractor, but it's quite expensive compared to a normal baler wrapper. The fast bales are £110,000 or dollars, versus about 78 to 900 for a baler wrapper. The Potinger is 99,500. So I swathed both of them. We've swathed the same area. So on the left you can see we've got the Vicon. At the moment it's running at about 7 miles an hour. Let's say that does vary between, you can see there, 6, 7. It was hitting 11 miles an hour on occasions. I felt like a 6 meter swath was the narrowest I wanted to go. And then the Potinger is running at its full speed, and is actually, with this 12 meter swath, managing to pretty much perfectly time the bale being full with needing to unload. So, you know, it feels like this was quite a good matchup for the Potinger, particularly when you've got end rows. I didn't do headlands on this. This just, you know, just made it a little bit easier. As with the previous video, I've tried to time sync them, and you know, the Potinger is dealing with less swaths, but is having to stop, versus the fast bale, which is just running continuously at a decent speed. Yeah, and I can kind of appreciate that with the fast bale. A smaller swath makes sense because in theory you're moving quicker, so it might be beneficial. I wouldn't want to go much smaller than 6 meters, if I'm honest, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time swathing. I mean, I'm really only interested in the baling time on here, but it took twice as long to swath the at 6 meters than 12 meters. They run at the same speed. So if you're looking at total time, then you're looking a bit more. Now, the swather that I used that was 6 meters, you could run on the front of the tractor, so you could say you're saving time there. but not everyone wants to use that kind of swather. So, you know, it's, yeah, I thought I'd repeat this. Also, one viewer commented that they run the Kubota version of this in real life, and they have never had to slow down for it to keep up with the swath that they're ingesting. So maybe Giants have been a little bit harsh in terms of, I guess, its wrap speed, because the thing that dictates whether this will go any faster is whether it can wrap a bale fast enough to have the chambers free to keep everything moving. So, and in reality, you know, we've dropped the bale already, and we've got space, so this could be running faster. So maybe it is just that Giants are a bit harsh. I mean, so both of these balers need 150 horsepower. We have 300 horsepower John Deere's on the front, so it's not a lack of horsepower. I wanted to really push to make sure, so I doubled the horsepower versus the requirement. We've got a little bit of a hill hit, but they're both dealing with that little bit of a hill. And I think already you can kind of see that the boating has got 2.5 swaths left. The Vicon has a lot of swaths left, and yeah, so I don't know if this test is any fairer or not, if I'm honest. And again, I'm thinking about this about real world, again, real virtual world gameplay. So I'm running the Potinger on 150 centimeter bales because that's what it makes, so it can wrap them quicker. I don't think that doing the smaller bales we had stopped more often would have significantly affected the outcome on this. I'm not sure. Maybe I could have done that test, but I feel that the two videos that I've done on this now do show that the way it's implemented in game, the fast bale is not fast. It is easier. I'm not going to deny that. You know, you can essentially run it like a square baler. So if you're doing hay and straw as well, you don't have to worry about stopping and unloading. It's definitely easier. Personally, if I'm doing hay or straw, I prefer a square baler. There are available on Mod Hub, you know, smaller, not necessarily smaller, older, cheap square balers. Then quite often I will run on a round baler for silage bales and a square baler for hay and straw bales. And there are some that, you know, cost a fraction of what the Vicon costs. So you can pick up a 125 centimeter baler wrapper for 78,000. You can pick up a square baler for 10 or 15. So, you know, I would prefer that combination personally over the fast bale. I remember being super excited when this thing released because I thought it was going to be game changing, and I think for a while it was much better. But I think if you're looking at the right hand side of the screen, you can see that it's pretty much game over. In both cases, there are the odd miss bits. I'm not going to pick those up because this is, you know, a pretty brutal defeat in my mind. You know, I've tried to optimize the situation for the Vicon and the Potinger. I wasn't just going to make it easier for the Vicon. That didn't seem right. You know, now maybe in reality, and I'm trying to think about more what's possible, because at certain points in the game you might only have a 6 meter windrower for the Potinger, and maybe in that case it would have been much closer. But you know, if we're optimizing the situation for one baler, I felt we should optimize it for both. It's not, you know, I'm not hating on the Vicon. It's a nice baler. It's just not what it says it is. And I do think that that's a way it's been implemented in the game thing rather than an actual real world thing. Let's say the comments that I had on the video of from, I think it was from only one person that runs one of these, or runs the Kubota variant in real life. It seems to work much better in real life. Maybe it's because the grass yield in FS is artificially quite high, and that's what's slowing it down. That, you know, you get an unrealistically large amount of grass off of a field in FS versus not. And maybe if I hadn't had, so this grass field was fertilized to the max level. Maybe if it wasn't, maybe if I only had one fertilization state, the Vicon would have done better. Maybe if it wasn't at max harvest state, maybe if we were cutting early, it would have been better. Maybe that would have been fair. I know. Maybe doing a cut at harvest state 1 rather than 2, so we got less grass off of the field, so it could, you know, it had an easier job. That might even it up. Personally, I mostly cut the grass at max harvest state when I'm baling it, particularly for silage. I want as much as possible. And I'd rather do, you know, if you're going to have to do more cuts to take advantage of the speed of the Vicon, that feels like you're not gaining overall speed, because if you're cutting the grass, maybe, you know, maybe if you're doing 4 smaller cuts in a year, then you're not gaining in terms of time. But for me, the Vicon is about ease of use. And, you know, I have used it. I used it a fair bit on my Greenlands Let's Play. I've used an edited one on there since, but I did use it on there where I had a huge grass field to mow and bale, because it works really well with a worker. Actually, the normal ones work really well with the worker as well, but yeah, a good baler. It's just not fast. I suspect I've probably done this wrong again. So if I don't really want to make a third video, but if you think I've done this wrong, explain why. You know, tell me what I've done wrong in the comments. It's always been my feeling. I've always had a gut feeling that the fast bale is not fast, and so far every bit of testing I've done has shown it's not fast. And the driver for the poaching has probably gone off and had lunch by now and come back. So it's one of them things, isn't it? One of those things. It's yeah. Anyway, if you think that I've done it wrong, then please feel free to explain it to me. I'm open to ideas on what I should be doing to make the fast bale fast. It's definitely a baler that I enjoy using. You know, so it was way easier to do the baling with the Vicon than it was with the Potinger. I had to be much more attentive with the Potinger. If you watch any of my Let's Play videos, you'll know that quite often when I'm using a round baler, I end up going too far and not actually collecting all the grass and backing up and stuff. So I was kind of on my game, really concentrating, running the other baler, but the time difference is immense. So sometime later, the Vicon is done. Yeah, so for me, there is a pretty clear winner in the Vicon. And that's it, basically. So if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you think I'm wrong and stupid, click the dislike button. If you enjoyed it and you're not, think about subscribing, and I will see you next time.